All right, we gotta have a talk here because what I see going on with agencies out here is an absolute train wreck. So if you're brand new here, my name is Matt Wacek. I'm the CEO of Landscape Marketing Pros. Digital marketing agency currently doing about $35,000 in monthly recurring revenue. And I make these videos because I really wish that I had this information available to me when I was getting started, because it would have saved me years of stress, headaches, frustration, embarrassment, and I don't want that to happen to you. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you some unconventional concepts that 99% of agencies straight up don't even bother trying to do. And by doing just a couple of these, or ideally all of them, you're gonna easily be able to stand out and get more clients, close them, and retain them longer. So let's get into number one. Fix your messaging. Please fix the messaging on your website. And I'm not talking about a chat bot or anything like that. I'm talking about what you help your clients achieve through your agency with what it is that you have to offer them. The amount of people that reach out to me here on YouTube or on Instagram, or even in my coaching program where we do live Q&As and I can assess your website and see what you're doing wrong and give you some ideas on how you should fix these things, which by the way, you can gain access through the enrollment webinar, which is linked down in the description, as well as the pinned comment beneath this video. So many agency owners have terrible messaging. Get your internet marketing right. Take your business to the next level. I'm gonna break down both of those right now briefly because they're so bad, and I wanna explain why. Because how you communicate on your website is gonna make the difference between you having a very nice profitable business with amazing clients that get amazing results and wanna stay with you for months and months, and having a really shitty business that isn't fun to run. So let's start with that. Get your internet marketing right. This is bad because this is an improvement offer at best. What this is telling your prospect that's reading this is that it implies that they themselves need to admit that they did something wrong. And for all intents and purposes, they probably have when it comes to their online presence and marketing their business. Their website hasn't been updated since 2013. They have 4 reviews on their Google business profile. One of them is from their grandma. The other one's from an account they own, and it's just not very good. We never blame a prospect for anything, but what we need to be doing is communicating in a way that makes it very easy for them to realize that, hey, we can help them get to their dream result. What is that dream result for most businesses? If you're working with home service companies or even like dentists or chiropractors and so forth, they're at 250, 500 grand in revenue. They want to get to another 25%. They want to get to 750. They want to get to $1 million, $1.5 million, whatever the numbers are. It doesn't really matter. So what you want to be communicating is we can help them achieve that result over X amount of time. Then there's the other one, take your business to the next level. And this one just cracks me up. When I had my landscape business, which I owned from 2011 to 2016, if I was reading that and seeing that, I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? I'll be able to get out of the field, have a foreman, have a crew that's doing the work, and then I can focus on the sales and then eventually delegate myself from there. Next level means nothing to me because there isn't just one predetermined level that you achieve. It's just growth and growth and growth. So that's why that messaging sucks. The true goal that you should have with your communication is that it should be hitting emotional triggers with future pacing, all without what your prospect hate dealing with or doing. So here's a great example. How moving companies are generating dozens of estimate requests every single month on autopilot without using lead aggregators or burning a ton of money on advertising. There's a perfect example right there. This implies mystery and intrigue, along with removing some of the things that they hate dealing with. Most business owners absolutely despise working with HomeAdvisor, Angie's List, and any of the other lead aggregators like that. And they, of course, don't want to spend a fortune on advertising. And again, fortune is relative to the person that's reading it. A fortune to one business owner, it could be $1,000 a month. A fortune to another business could be 50 grand a month. So that's what I like to play in there. I'm not setting a particular number there. It's just implied into there and let them decipher it. The second step in unfucking your agency is going to be throwing contact forms in the garbage, not having them anywhere on your agency's website, because the fact that you need to frame how your sales process is going to be conducted. And that means you need to limit who has access to your time. No phone numbers on the website, no email addresses, none of that stuff. And there's a disclaimer here that I want to actually mention before we get into the meat of this, because of the fact that if you don't have clients right now, if you don't have testimonials, if you don't have anything to show off to a prospect that you can do what it is that you say you can do, which is help them get to their end result of growing their business, you can't necessarily do this quite yet. You got to earn your way into doing this. And the way to do that is to go work for free for a couple clients, get an amazing testimonial, and then you can do these things. But you need to limit who has access to your time. This is so critical because one, you're going to get so many vultures that are just going to suck your time from you. My agency's social media accounts get blasted with messages all the time with people asking questions. I have an autoresponder on those pages that says, hey, go to this link and book a call. Some of you might be thinking, well, that's kind of mean, or I'm leaving money on the table. I'm actually not. Because the fact that every single time I had ever responded to one of those messages, those people never booked a call, nonetheless became a client. Don't even waste your time unless you're trying to get your first trial clients. Then that's when you use that messaging. But otherwise, once you get to that point where you got testimonials, do not waste your time messaging back and forth. If a prospect is serious enough, they're going to book through your form because they're serious about scaling their business. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise when it comes to having just a call booking form on your website instead of a contact form or an email address or a phone number. Because what's going to happen is that prospects fall into your frame and book a time slot on your calendar where you can then interview them to see if they're going to be a good fit for your program, not the other way around. And you're hoping and clawing just to at a scratch of their attention. I cover this a ton in the webinar. So again, check that out after this video, but it's absolutely insane the transition that this made for my business. And really, most importantly, how much less time I have to spend talking with prospects who were never actually going to ever become a client. Now, I said this time and time again on my channel. I'm going to continue saying it because it's really true. You need to niche down. And frankly, once you niche down once, you need to niche down again to an even more refined segment of the market that you're serving. Because my life was a complete mess financially back in 2016, 2017, when I was trying to get this stuff all going. And at that time, I, of course, had shiny object syndrome. I've covered that in other videos. I was trying to do Shopify and all this other crap. And then also trying to do an agency where I'm working with roofing businesses, siding contractors, windows, dentists, chiropractors. I'm running ads for all this stuff all across the board and frankly just going broke, never getting any clients. When I finally niched down in late 2017, August 2017 specifically, when I launched the Landscape Marketing Pros website is when my focus got narrow, and that's when things actually somewhat started to happen. At least I had a segment of the market I was wanting to work with, and that's who I can become an expert at helping is landscape businesses. And so my suggestion to you is don't just be a contractor marketing agency or home service company marketing agency. That's not anywhere close to niching down. There are hundreds of different businesses or industries underneath contractors or underneath home service companies. So what I encourage you to do is find one specific industry, let's just say it's a moving company, and then segment that down even further to something along the lines of residential moving companies that help families do local and regional moves. And there's going to be a huge subset of companies that do that because that's a relatively simple business to manage versus like the long haul moving from, say, California to Maine or whatever it is that a person's doing. For a moving company to do that is going to have a massive fleet of semi trucks, and that's not who you want to work with if you're a startup agency. You want to work with someone that's local and they maybe work 200 miles away from their home base or something like that. However, the detail you want to pay attention to is that how much is each one of those moves going to bring into that company. So that way they could justify your program with closing just 1 or 2 clients each month. Simple as that. And then in that process, what you want to do is converse with those types of business owners. And I'm not saying to go into a forum and try to pretend to not be a marketer or anything like that. But when you're doing your sales calls and things like that, you're conversing with them, figuring out what their problems are. So that way you can ideally determine what those consumers, their prospects, your clients' prospects, are thinking when they're trying to hire a moving company. What do they want? They want someone that's going to be ideally local, that's not going to steal their stuff, hire background checked employees. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff out there about that particular industry, and you're gonna have to go do research on that. But when you can segment down and become the absolute best at that particular segment of the market, you can stand out very easily and help those clients win. And then pretty soon what's gonna happen is you're gonna get more clients wanting to jump on board because you have the testimonials proving that what you say is gonna help them get to their end result. So the next step is 1 to 2 service programs. That is it. I see so many agencies that have this massive long repertoire of pages on their website all about all these different marketing things. And these business owners don't have a clue what most of these things are. Talk about website design, and obviously that's an easy gimme, but then you got drip email marketing campaign, SMS campaign, Google ads, retargeting ads, remarketing, SMS drip campaign. Oh, there's so many different things that I've seen some of these companies do, and whether they're small or big companies, it doesn't really matter. If you're a startup especially, you can capitalize on this very, very easily, because if I'm putting my business owner, landscape business owner hat on when I'm thinking about this and I'm seeing all these things and I don't know what any of these things are. And I was someone who knew what building a website and doing SEO was all about because I had built my landscape company's website, and that's what helped fuel a lot of the growth. Now, most of your prospects and clients out there that have owned a business for 10, 15, 20 years or whatever it may be, they don't know all these things. You don't need to go into technical jargon talking about an email marketing campaign if that's what you offer. Your prospect doesn't really care. On a clear, concise way that's going to help them get more leads so that way they can keep their crews booked out or keep their routes going, whatever the services that they're offering, or patients coming in the door consistently so that way they're booked and they know that they're going to have revenue coming in. So that way all their people are paid, all their staff, the owner gets a nice salary, and they could all have a nice year-end bonus as well. Simple as that. So rather than confusing them with a dozen pages about all your different services and going into the deep specs of cost per click and conversion rate, click-through rate, backlinks, anchor text, all this sort of nonsense, one page that hits the pain points that your prospects tell you during your sales calls and essentially how you solve it. And then you lead them with a call to action to book a call. Simple as that. And I know that you probably can't do this right away day one if you are just starting your business because you haven't talked to any prospects yet. But as you start conducting more sales calls and hearing what your prospects are telling you with some of the biggest issues that they're facing, you can then implement that onto that particular page. Now, when it comes to the actual service program, what you want to be doing is really just guiding them as you're doing your sales call to the ideal service. Now, when it comes to 1 to 2 service programs, what I prefer to have set up in my company is one that's organic based, so it's SEO focused. This is going to be for the business owners that have work now, that have their crews are booked out, or they have money, recurring revenue on the books, and things are good, but they want to grow. They want to double their business over the next year or add 50% in revenue, depending on how big they are. Then there's the other program, which is Google Ads focused. And this would be prescribed to the prospect if they need to have work coming in ASAP. They have very little lead flow going on right now. They need leads ASAP, and they can afford to pay a premium for each of those leads, because with running ads, the leads are always going to cost more over the long haul than with SEO. But again, with SEO, it takes a little more time. Now, that's not to say that you have to do an SEO-based program or Google PPC program. If you're someone who's really, really good at creating pattern interrupts with Facebook cold traffic ads, and you want to implement retargeting on that, and then an email follow-up campaign, and that's what you want to do for your program, charge $2K a month, and you can help residential moving companies get a whole lot more prospects coming in, then by all means do it. And then hell, you could even upsell them SEO after the fact too. So those are just a few changes that'll make a rapid improvement in your digital marketing agency. I really wish I knew these things back when I was getting started in 2016, 2017, but I can't go back in time. Thankfully for you, you're at this point in the video have access to the knowledge that took me several years to obtain. I encourage you to take this a step further. Go down below, register for my HVA webinar. It's gonna be the first link in the description, as well as the pinned comment down beneath this video. So drop a like, go down below, comment your thoughts. If you implemented these into your business, I would love to hear how they helped out your agency. Also, be sure to go down below, subscribe, click the bell for notifications so that way you never miss an upload from me. And with that said, my name is Matt Wacek. We'll see you in the next video.